Topic is the future of humanity. Some of the things I might have to talk about are socioeconomic and political, but those are actually quite spiritual in nature because even within the context of our own country, there's a tugging and pulling between Christian factions and other religious organizations as to what direction this country should take. Religious sentiment, too, as well, fostering that point of view. Now, I think that all groups have something apart from everything else which is unique that might be very correct. So we all have a piece of the puzzle, and we can all be right in certain perspectives, but not everyone has the entire picture correct. Now, I'm my worst critic. I don't even watch my own films of my talks because the minute I hear my voice and the minute I hear what I have to say, I'd say, I could have said that better. I should have been more direct. Why am I so subtle? Well, I guarantee you, on my two talks, this has been anything but subtle or politically correct. I just have to say things the way they are. And there really isn't a place in America for apologies going back. We're forging forward in a new range of territory that's new. We have a black president. Gosh darn, we have a black living CG master. America wasn't ready for that either. I guarantee you. Oh boy. But, there are forces at play that we have to deal with. And in the midst of our loving continence and our loving attitude toward life, behind that surface, we are also spiritual warriors. We have to hold the universal balance as well. So in the meantime, while we are putting forth our love for this universe, on the inner worlds, we're actually holding the sword to ensure that certain entities and groups do not cross certain boundaries of life so that we can maintain balance here on Earth. So there is a tugging and pulling and a few minor wars actually going on in the inner worlds below the etheric. They would not be allowed to move any further than the mental. So it is my hope to move our indigo children into a level of consciousness so that they will be able to make aggressive changes. What you represent are the forefront of that generation. Some of them have been sprinkled throughout the world to help forge new areas in mathematics, sciences, literature, music, art. I mentioned one person, I believe, in our welcome packet, but he was among the many Einstein, Cornick, many of the Newton, many of these scientists of advanced genetic standard were far beyond the norm that was considered human. And scientists of this latter century, like Wright, Tesla, many of those men, basically came across it by electronic pulse using magnetic resonance. Now, in healing modalities, magnetic resonance is going to play a big part in being able to understand how the electrical system of the body has a deep relationship to healing. And certain charges and frequencies that are aligned with normal operations of the body are being understood. And now, men of medicine, as well as naturopathic doctors, are beginning to use electrical pulse in order to regulate the magnetic resonance, which allows the body to heal. I think it's simply amazing when I have something written down here and I haven't even touched it. And because often when I find myself up here, I have to diverge myself from my notes. I want to keep them there because there's a certain focus that we necessarily have to keep. And what I speak about today is very current. More or less, some of it is rather prophetic and what has to be said, because there are certain leaders in our world governments that are being affected by the work that we're doing. And some of us are actually in our inner bodies taking these men to areas where they are getting the training. One of such is President Dmitry of Russia, Majors in England, Obama, President of France. Germany is still somewhat divided because it's still feeling the residual effects of war and their mistake in grabbing onto its own nationalism. But many countries' consciousness are being affected by the work we're doing, and I intend to touch at least with some depth as to how our work and what we're doing with the God Force, funneling it through with our circles of initiation and our commitment, is making a change in this world. I wanted to talk, and this is not really addressed to the ladies, but it is, in fact, is that our female CSG are making a big difference in politics in this world. In the new literature, they wanted me to highlight a 16th century poet. She was an Indian princess, and she was a mystical teacher. Her name was Mirabai. She is a legend in Indian culture, and she was a follower of Krishna. She came forth and wanted to be a part of the new book, Messengers of God. And Mirabai dedicated this prayer song to the Way of Truth because she knew simply that there were many women in the Way of Truth whose soul progression was beyond the norm, and some ladies were still trying to find that mate that would balance their spiritual consciousness. Well, being in the male body this time around, I didn't want to touch that too much with my own commentary. I said that Mirabai could basically say it all. So she was a songstress. She was a fantastic poet. She was a master of dance and a master of song. And she dedicates this particular prayer song to the Way of Truth. She called it The Beauty of True Happiness and Love. Lovers of life, come out of your turtle shells and go to the eternal sea where the great loves of God's love reside. It yearns to embrace you. Do not hide yourselves from it. In your hard little houses, but come out into the soft open light where love can see you. Love and happiness do not hide. It waits to be beckoned by your appearance. Then they roll toward you in thunderous waves of adoration. If you only give yourself over and float in complete surrender upon the waters of light and sound, Mira says, there is love for you, dear and true. If you leave your familiar and safe hiding places and boldly approach the great loving sea, command it to open wide for you its hidden treasures. Swim toward the brightest jewel and claim it. Blessed be, child of the light and of the sound. I go now to wait for thee before its heavenly crown. Mirabai wanted to give something to each of you, and this prayer song is in the Messengers of God book, which would be out by the end of the year. If you read this psalm by yourself, it has the effect of uplifting you in your day and letting you know that love always prevails. It is the way. It truly is the way for us, and it is the strongest force in the universe. Mirabai used to tell her students that she danced and sang her way to self-realization and God-realization, and I have to tell you that was quite true. I have never seen anyone dance so beautifully, and she would dance for hours, putting a group into frenzy, and they would all feel the love of spirit in dance. But she wanted to impart to you that losing yourself in something you love and have passion for heightens the spiritual consciousness. So she says, go within and find that place in yourself and find that place in something outside that you truly love and lose yourself in it by putting an activity around it.